Before the question came up, how many of you work with very young kids?
네, 질문 먼저 드리기 전에 되게 어린 아이들과 어린 아이들에게 야구를 가르쳐 보신 분 몇 분이나 계신가요?
Okay, and why did I ask that?
그리고 왜 제가 이런 질문을 드린 거죠?
Why would you think I would ask you why if you work with young kids?
어린 아이들에게 야구를 가르치는지 왜 제가 여러분께 질문을 드린 것 같으신가요?
Anybody?
생각 있으신 분 있으신가요?
No. Hang on. Let me see. Wait. No answer. For $100, you have answer? Yeah. Oh, now you have answer. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. What stops us from giving that answer?
이 질문에 답하려고 하는데 왜 주저하시는 거죠, 여러분들은?
What stops us? Think about it. I sat where you sat.
저도 여러분들이 있는 자리에 앉아 있었습니다.
In school, as a coach, even now at times.
학교에서든 이제 코치 일을 하면서든
I have that fear of raising my hand and asking a question in front of everybody, right?
항상 손을 들고 누군가 다른 사람들 앞에서 질문을 하거나 말을 하기에 두려움이 아직도 있습니다.
Now, whether we ask that question in public or whether we ask the question to ourselves,
공개된 장소에서 질문할 때나 아니면 자기 스스로에게 질문을 던질 때나
it's important that we ask the question all the time why we're doing what we do as a coach.
항상 물어봐야 합니다. 우리가 코치로서 하고 있는 일들을 왜 하고 있는지.
Now, I'm going to be very simple in a lot of
간단하게
things.
이야기하겠습니다.
You're going to probably wonder why so simple.
왜 이렇게 간단할 수 있지? 라고 질문하실 수도 있습니다.
Because where I started 40 years ago, and Coach said it perfectly, we're still trying to figure out things. When you think you know it, you know nothing.
40년 전에 코칭을 시작하셨을 때도 그랬고 대익 존슨 코치님께서도 말씀해 주셨지만 거의 다 된 것 같다, 거의 다 안 것 같다 싶을 때도 아직 갈 길이 멀다라고 느낍니다.
So what stops us from asking the question in public or asking ourselves why we do things a certain way
질문을 우리가 공공장소에서든 아니면 스스로에게든 왜 우리가 하는 일을 하는가? 라는 질문을 주저하게 되는 이유는
is the fear of change.
변화에 대한 두려움입니다.
Is the fear of doing something that we're not accustomed to.
우리에게 익숙하지 않은 일을 하는 것에 대한 두려움 때문입니다.
You know, Derek said it perfectly. A player reverts back to how he did it.
대익 존슨 코치님께서 말씀하셨듯 예전에 아버지가 이렇게 가르쳐 주셔서 했던 것들, 예전에 했던 것들.
Sometimes that's pretty good.
때때로는 그게 정말 좋습니다.
Me, if I reverted back at times to how I did it, I didn't do it very well.
반면에 코치님은 예전에 자신이 어떤 일을 했던 방식으로 돌아갔을 때 그렇게 잘하진 않았습니다.
I had to figure out a better way to make myself better.
더 나은 방법을 알아내고 더 나은 코치가 스스로 되어야 했습니다.
Because the old way for me wasn't working.
옛날 방법은 코치님에게는 안 먹혔거든요.
Now, baseball, you know, is a traditional game.
야구는 전통적인 게임입니다.
Now, I'm very careful how I say this, but I've been in Asia many years. I've been to Japan 20, 30 times. I've been to Taiwan 20 times. I've been to Korea three times. So I watch a lot, and I think I'm pretty familiar with how some of the customs and the cultures that you have in Asian baseball, and I love a lot of them.
일본에도 2, 30번 오셨고 대만에도 2, 30번, 한국에도 이제 세 번째, 네 번째 이렇게 오셨는데 이런 아시아 나라들의 문화들이 어떻고 우리가 어떻게 야구를 하는지 잘 알고 계십니다.
But just like in the U.S., for many years, prior to about 10, maybe 15 years ago, before that,
미국에서도 그렇지만 10년 아니면 15년 전에도
I started off at a baseball school where we're working with young players for 10 years.
코치님도 어린 아이들 이제 가르치는 곳에서 10년, 15년 일하셨어요.
How did we teach? How did we teach back then?
그 옛날에는 어떻게 가르쳤을까요?
We taught how we were taught by our coaches. We didn't ask questions.
코치들에게 배운 대로 야구를 했고 질문을 하지 않았습니다.
Sometimes we reverted in teaching how we did it, right? How we pitched, how we threw the baseball, how we fielded. It's because we felt comfortable and we felt that, so we wanted to teach that same thing.
가끔은 이제 결국엔 우리 코치들이 어떻게 야구를 했었고 어떻게 공을 잡고 어떻게 공을 던졌는지로 돌아가서 그걸 그대로 가르쳤습니다. 왜냐하면 그것이 우리들에게 편한 방법이었기 때문입니다.
Then there was an explosion.
근데 폭발이 있었습니다.
What was that explosion? Science came into the game.
과학이라는 폭발이 야구 안으로 들어왔습니다.
And science started to question what we were doing.
과학이 야구에게 너희는 뭘 하고 있는 거냐고 질문을 던졌습니다.
Were we doing it the traditional way? Or was there possibly a better way to do it? Many things that DJ talked about with motion and data and video.
전통적으로 일을 하는 방식이 있었는데 과학이 우리에게 질문을 던지기 시작했고 그런 것들은 과연 이제 데릭 존슨 코치님께서 설명해 주신 비디오나 다른 툴들을 우리가 활용할 수는 없을까에 대한 질문이었습니다.
So I asked you earlier, in the last, think about it, in the last, I'll say 6 months, who can tell me what you changed in your coaching style, in teaching a fundamental skill, teaching something in practice different? Can anybody give me an idea of something you changed just recently and why?
지난 6개월간 연습을 운영하는 방법, 기본적인 것을
Anybody want
가르치는
to do
방법,
that? Or do I got to pull out my money again?
변화를 주신 분이 있다면 변화를 어떻게 주셨는지, 왜 주셨는지 말씀해 주시면
I'll get it started, okay? I'll start it. If I start it, then somebody else has to go second.
먼저 말씀하실 테니 다른 분이 곧 발표하실 거라고 합니다.
Now, watch how simple and how basic this is. But it'll prove that it's teaching young players, 10 years old, 12 years old, 14, 15, 16.
간단한 일입니다. 그렇지만 이제 10살 어린이부터 14살, 15살, 16살 선수들 가르치는 과정에서
How to think on their own,
어떻게 스스로 생각하는지,
how to play the game on their own.
어떻게 게임을 스스로 플레이해 나가는지.
Because ultimately, when a player has the ability to make decisions, take chances, be able to fail, guess what? The game becomes a lot more fun.
선수들이 스스로 기회를 하나 잡아보고 도전해보고 실패할 수 있을 때 게임이 더 재밌어집니다.
But as coaches, what do we do many times? And this is very prevalent in the U.S. when you're talking about especially 14 years old and younger, because many of the coaches are volunteers.
하지만 미국에서도 이런 일들이 자주 있는데요. 가령 이제 14살들 정도를 코치할 때 그렇습니다.
They want to control everything in the game.
게임에서 모든 걸 컨트롤하고 싶어 합니다.
So, what did I change I'll go 20 years ago. One of the first things I changed 20 years ago. And I'll ask you this question. You're coaching first base.
20년 전 이야기입니다. 가령 여러분들이 1루를 코치하고 있다고 생각해 보십시오.
Runner comes to first. As a first base coach, you only have maybe 10 to 12 seconds, maybe or 20 seconds before the next pitch. What's one of the things that you might tell that player as a coach?
주자가 1루에 도착하고 나서 다음 피치 전까지
Anybody?
10초, 20초 정도 시간이 있는데
Give me something that universally, Korea, Japan, Cuba, US, Australia, Peru, every baseball country in the world, every coach in the world tells that player the same thing all the time because it's very important.
항상 어느 나라 코치든 똑같은 말을 주자에게 1루 주자에게 해주는데 그게 무엇일까요?
What would that be? Come on. Oh, you guys got coffee in you, no? A little energy? Come on, what is
1루
it?
주자에게
What do you tell? You're coaching
1루
first.
코치가
Okay, come here. Yeah, come here. You're coaching first. First base, no? You're coaching first. I'm the runner. I get here. Boom. I come back. How you doing? Good job. That's one. Okay, good. No, good job. Everybody does that. Wait, get over here. Right, good job. Now what do you say? What's the next thing? As a first base coaching is very important. Okay, you don't just put anybody at first base.
네, 1루 코치가 되게 중요한 역할입니다. 아무나 1루 코치에 두는 게 아니거든요.
I coached third and first in independent baseball. I took it very serious first base when they told me that was my responsibility.
독립야구를 코치하실 때 1루당 3루 코치를 보셨는데 1루 코치라는 포지션을
So
중요하게
what's
받아들였어요.
another thing you're going to tell me?
뭐라고 말해볼 수 있을까요?
Huh?
Take a look at the signs carefully.
Okay. Right. What else?
Outbound, what's the position?
Okay, position in the outfield. Good. What else? What's real important? We have to understand. We have to know the count. We have to know the situation. So what else do we have to know? So nobody here tells the runner, Pete, there's one out, or Pete, there's two outs, or sometimes you might have say, Pete, there's three outs. Get off the field. No, because he forgot that there's three outs. Tell him.
원아웃이다,
That doesn't
뭐
go well
투아웃이다,
over
뭐
unless you translate.
아니면 쓰리아웃이니까 자리로 돌아가라 뭐 얘기할 수도 있고.
No? Yeah? Everybody, does everybody agree with that? That you're going to tell the player the outs? See, I don't agree.
Coach he also said maybe take a look at the ball. 다시 한번 말씀해 주세요. Oh yes, he says you should check where the ball is.
Okay,
Make sure
who
where
has the
ball is.
baseball?
Yes.
How about how many outs there are? Does anybody tell your players that? Does the coaches on bases, do they tell the players, 2 outs, 1 out? Do you remind the players?
투아웃이다, 원아웃이다. 선수들에게 리마인드 해주시나요?
Yeah? Okay. So, how you doing, all right? Doing okay? Yep. Good. You can sit. Good man. Good person. Okay, so if I was your player,
네, 만약에 코치님이 여러분의
My-
선수라면
my question would be, why are you telling the player the outs?
왜 아웃 카운트를 얘기하는 거죠? 라고 질문하실 것 같다고 하십니다.
Who's playing the game?
누가 게임을 하고 있죠?
You?
여러분인가요?
The player's playing the game.
선수들이 합니다.
Very simple. Why aren't you asking how many outs?
왜 아웃 카운트가 얼마냐고 질문하지 않죠?
Now the player has to think.
선수들이 생각해야 됩니다.
And if you constantly ask how many outs, every time they come down to the base, they don't want you to ask anymore. Now they're going to tell you the outs.
이제 매번 그렇게 몇 아웃이지? 라고 선수에게 질문하다 보면 선수들이 베이스에 나가면서 그냥
But traditionally, we all did it the same way all the time. So we continue to do it the same way because we never ask the question, is that the best way?
매번 그렇게 해오다 보니까 과연 그게 최선의 방법인가? 라는 질문을 하지 않게 됩니다.
I believe the best way is to ask the player, Yan Kim, how many outs? Now they tell you 1. Okay? Now, if you have older players, our rule of thumb is when you get to the base, you give us the outs.
어린 선수들에게는 우리가 몇 아웃이지? 라고 직접 물어보지만 더 나이 든 선수들, 더 훌륭한 선수들에게는 스스로 이제 몇 아웃인지 표시하게 하게.
We want to teach them to play the game on their own. When a hitter goes to home plate, right? What's one of the most important things to be thinking about?
스스로 게임을 플레이해야 됩니다. 타자들이 타석에 들어섰을 때 생각해야 되는 가장 중요한 것이 무엇이죠?
Many people say hitting the baseball.
많은 사람들이 야구공을 치는 것이라고 답합니다.
That's the obvious one because that's what they're trying to do.
너무나 분명하죠. 그들이 치려고 타석에 들어섰으니까요.
And you want to focus on the baseball.
야구공이 집중해야 되는 건 맞습니다.
But we also have to have a game plan when we go to home plate.
플레이트에 들어섰을 때 경기에 대한 계획이 있어야 됩니다. 게임 플랜이 있어야 됩니다.
Before they go to home plate, I've asked players,
플레이트에 들어서기 전에 선수들에게
how many outs
질문했습니다.
are there?
아웃이 몇 개니?
They didn't know the outs.
아웃이 몇 개인지 모르는 선수들도 있었습니다.
how can you not know the outs and go up to hit?
어떻게 아웃 카운트가 몇 개인지 모르는데 타석에 설 수 있죠?
How can you not know the situation and going up and hit?
상황을 모르는데 어떻게 타석에 치러 들어갈 수 있죠?
How could you not know the pitcher, and go up and hit?
투수가 누군지를 모르는 상태로 어떻게 들어가서 칠 수 있죠?
Okay, so now challenge this. How many of you during a game in the dugout, your runner is on first base, and you tell your dugout, this happens a lot in the US, when the pitcher throws over the first, in the dugout, yell, back!
시합 중에 더그아웃에서 이제 1루 주자를 보면서
Does anybody do that in Korea?
투수가 견제할 때 백 외치시는 분들 계신가요?
Anybody? No? Yes? Okay. Did you ever ask yourself why you do that?
왜 그러는지 스스로에게 질문해 보신 적 있으신가요?
Did you? Did you ever ask yourself, why do I tell my... If I was a player and I came up to you as a coach and I said, Coach, why are we doing that?
내가 선수로서 코치에게 질문할 수 있을 거예요. 코치, 왜 우리 백이라고 하는 거죠?
What would your answer be?
뭐라고 코치로서 대답해 주실 건가요?
And remember, everything I'm telling you, I did. Okay?
다 스스로 직접
I taught that. But why would I teach that? Why? If a player asked me, what would be my answer?
왜 백이라고 하나요? 라는 질문을 받았을 때 코치로서 어떤 답변을 해줄 수 있나요? To help his judgment on
Yeah, to help the runner. Okay. But now I want you, again, WHY. I'm not very good at spelling, but I want to know why. And is it the best way? So the answer of why is not because you're trying to help the runner, because I coach first base, and realistically, by the time you yell back, if he's listening to that, he's probably picked off.
왜라는 질문이 중요합니다. 왜냐면 우리가 백이라고 외치는 순간에 실제로 주자가 그걸 듣고 있기만 한다면 실제로 공이 도착했을 땐 아웃될 거거든요.
Because by the time the ears hear it, the brain gets it, and it transfers to the body, it's a little bit too late.
귀로 듣고 뇌로 가서 우리 몸의 근육이 움직이기까지는 시간이 너무나 오래 걸리거든요.
I guess it can't hurt,
뭐 도움이 안 되는 건 아닙니다. 백을 외치는 게.
but it's really not the main focus, is it? The main
우리가
focus is to keep the players in the game, to get these players to look at his move so they understand the move. And
우리가
that's my
실제로-
main focus of why we're doing that.
우리가 실제로 하고 싶은 일은 주자들이 투수를 알아서 보고 그의 견제 동작을 보고 알아서 베이스로 들어갈 수 있게 코치하는 것입니다.
Okay? I also believe that you have your practice, but I believe you constantly practice all the time. And what do I mean by that?
우리가 연습이라고 따로 정해진 시간이 있지만 우리는 실제로 항상 연습을 하고 있습니다.
I'll give you another example. I just want to give you some examples because what I'm trying to do is I want you to open up your minds a little bit because culturally, am I right that whether it's Japan or Asia or Korea, it's very, very traditional countries, play the game very traditional, just like we do. And sometimes you don't have a lot of changes. It takes a longer time to make a change.
여러분의 생각을 좀 더 확장시킬 질문들을 던지고 싶습니다. 왜냐하면 이제 뭐 일본이든 다른 아시아의 나라들이든 우리나라든 미국이든 다 전통적인 게임으로 야구를 받아들이고 전통적으로 계속 플레이하고 있으니까요.